Hello and welcome to a brand new segment on the Geeks in Malaysia YouTube channel, simply entitled Geek to Geek. My name is Nick Dorian, and on Geek to Geek, I sit down with another fellow geek in the industry and discuss a little bit about their history, how they started, how they became a geek, what industry they're in, how they survived in the industry, all these very important questions. And our first guest is a very special guest. This is Dean from Geek in the Closet store. Uh,
Hello, what's up?
he has created this wonderful platform where people can buy all kinds of geek merchandise. It's fantastic. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you check it out. Where can they find you? Facebook, Instagram?
You can find us at Geek in the Closet store on Instagram, Facebook as well.
Mhm.
We do have a Shopee account right now, so you can actually check it out at shopee.com.my/geek in the closet.
So tell us a little bit. What is Geek in the Closet?
So, as you have actually mentioned, Geek in the Closet store is basically a geeky gift shop, right? And the thing is like it stems from basically my personal passion for geek culture. So you can actually see stuff from Lord of the Rings, you can see stuff from Star Wars, you can see stuff from various animes, and also like merchandise from Harry Potter and all that kind of stuff as well. So the thing is like all of these things. When we first started off, we were thinking, oh man, for me being a geek, I'm not exactly focused on one specific thing, which is like I'm not exactly only a Star Wars fan
Mhm.
or only a DC fan or only a Marvel fan. But the thing is like I'm so versatile. So in the sense that I was like thinking, why not actually start something out with um, with this particular passion of mine, fueled by this passion of mine. And yeah, so basically we started off sourcing for all of these things from like different suppliers and everything like that. Yeah,
Have you had any retail experience before this, or was this your first foray into this sort of retail
that's a
environment?
good question. That's a very good question because and the thing is, it's like when you're talking about retail experience, right? My background is basically hospitality.
Mm.
I was actually from the hotel industry, specializing in food and beverage, and it's awful. It's the worst. Right? I hated it. But now I'm not saying I'm not like trying to ridicule like food and beverage operators. I'm just saying that it was so bad for me. Um, it was a fun experience. Totally, I was there for like approximately 10 years. I was in the hotel. I was also in like restaurants. I was also in cafes and everything like that. Right. So when starting off this particular business, it was a daunting thing. It was super scary
Mm.
because obviously you have no clue what you're actually basically doing. But thank God I have a family who's specializing in entrepreneurship.
Okay.
They are business oriented, right? So my sister, she's a bag designer. My mom has like my parents have like a shop of their own, and as well as my brother has like a music studio of his own as well. So I'm actually getting like a lot of exposure from them initially.
And when you first started, what sort of challenges did you face trying to set up this business?
Now the thing is like initially obviously the fear is there. It's like how am I supposed to the fear of getting the sales is there, right? Because the thing is just like, hey, just because I like the things that I sell doesn't mean that everyone else likes it.
Mhm.
So this particular thing it's actually stuck in my head, right? I think I have to actually tell you the origin story of Geek in the Closet first, right?
Yes, yes.
Now the thing is like the origin story, basically why is it called Geek in the Closet and everything? There's actually a lot of significance right there as well. As I was growing up, when I was in kindergarten all the way to secondary school, I was actually being bullied a lot,
Mm.
right? I was a victim of bullying. Um, so the thing is, it's like I was always being bullied because of my name, my Chinese name, which is Chua Kunbeng. So people would call me Chua Kambing,
Oh,
a
you
lot, right?
okay.
And then because of my size, before I was round,
Okay.
right? So people would actually make fun of me being fat. So when they combine those two together, they call me like a fat goat,
Uh,
you know, stuff like that. So it was a horrible experience. So during that particular time, the only escape that I actually got was basically um, g- um, reading comic books and playing games and stuff like that. So obviously started off with Nintendo, and then after that went to Sega,
Mhm.
and then after that went to the Sega Genesis, and then after that progressed to PlayStation, etc., etc.
For those younger audiences, if you don't know what a Sega Genesis is, this is a PlayStation before a PlayStation.
You're too young. You're too young,
It shows our age.
right? So now the thing is, it's like when my first comic book was basically Doraemon, obviously, and then after that it went from animations first, and then it went on to like TV shows such as the Batman animated series and stuff like that.
Ah,
So it was like,
classics.
oh, classic, freaking amazing, right?
Yes.
So so now the thing is, it's like so basically based on that bullying background and stuff like that, uh, as I was actually working, my previous experience was actually as an assistant manager in a fine dining restaurant in Singapore,
Okay.
right? And yeah, and I was actually being bullied by Singaporeans right there, and basically the locals right there, and
Mm.
also my boss as well. He was a hard ass, right?
Okay.
So the thing is like my parents and my family was actually worried about me because I was seriously scrawny at that time, and in the sense that I was like malnourished in a
Oh
way.
man.
I didn't eat well. I was working like 14, 16 hours every day, you know. So my parents was just saying that, hey, I think you got to get out of this industry,
Mm.
you know, come back, and then we'll actually teach you how to do your business, do a particular business. So obviously I didn't have any clue. Obviously that fear is there. It's like, but the pressure of working in that particular hotel was crazy. Can you imagine working um, for somebody, and then that particular person were to often call you like, "Oh man, you're such a f***ing idiot," that kind
Oh
of thing.
man.
So it's like it's like a constant thing. So to the point that, oh man, you know what? I can't take this anymore. So I left.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So my mom brought me all over the world to sort of like look for suppliers because she has like background in business, right? So we went to China, we went to Thailand, we went to um, uh, what is that, Japan and stuff like that, to actually just look for suppliers and all that. And
Okay.
then initially I didn't know what to do, and then after that I saw a bunch of suppliers selling all these things, and I was like, oh my god. Can you imagine this, dude? When you see like you know the stuff you have like at the background of yours right there.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like just stumbling upon a shop, right? A supplier shop,
It's
and
like
you
it's
see
like
all
the
these.
holy grail.
Yeah, and that was exactly how I felt. I was like, oh my god, what the heck is this? This is amazing, right? And my mom was like, okay, all right, okay. And then obviously the fear came in,
Mm.
right? And the fear came in. It was like, but I don't know whether if I can make this work or not. I don't know whether if I can sell these things. But then
Mm.
my mom, if you guys are a fan of Nolan's Batman trilogy,
Mm.
right? Okay, all right. So this actually came into my head when my mom told me this. She said it in Hokkien, but then it sort of like was interpreted in my head in a very Alfredy.
Okay.
So what she said was like, "Hey, why do we fall? So that we can learn to pick ourselves back up again." Oh,
Wow. Poignant.
that was it, man. That was it, dude. It was like at that point of time, I felt like freaking Bruce Wayne. I was like, oh my god, let's go, let's start doing this, right?
Nice.
Yeah. So obviously, initially, the problem was like basically having stocks in hand,
Mm.
right? In a sense that right now, um, we didn't have any storage space, or we didn't have any particular area to actually do it. But if you know about drop shipping and everything like that, we don't really believe in drop shipping because we want to actually focus on quality control,
Mm.
right? So we are the ones who are actually going to these suppliers. We source for these suppliers, and then we make sure that they are trustworthy
Mhm.
and the items are at least of a certain level of quality. Yeah. So we would actually buy stuff like five numbers, a quantity of five each. So I want five of that. I want maybe three of that. I want 10 of that, and that's it. That's it. That was it. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so we started off basically participating in like random bazaars in shopping malls. right? You will see these bazaars and everything like that in like Publica or Starling Mall or Empire Shopping Mall and stuff like that, right? So we would actually just set up like a table itself, and then we would just display out all of our stuff, all of our geeky stuff, and then just wait, and that's it. That's all we did in the beginning, right? And what's amazing is basically the people who you would meet. And the thing is like um, uh, growing up, I never had a clique of people who actually shared this particular same passion of mine. In a sense that maybe they would be familiar with one thing, like Star Wars, right? But they won't be familiar with other things, you see. But the people who you would meet in these bazaars, they are super geeks and super nerdy. And it was like, oh my God, where have you been all this time?
There's more of them like me.
There's more. Oh my, you're like a freaking unicorn. Yeah. So that was our first bazaar was actually in Publica, and the people in Publica, oh man, they are amazing. They are like outspoken people, and they are just super friendly. And I remembered my record of actually geeking out with a particular person would be like for 6 hours. Yeah, for 6 hours we were just talking about everything. Can you imagine? It was like, oh my God, from Harry Potter, and then we jump into Lord of the Rings, and we jump into Batman, and then we jump into Marvel, and when we jumped into this, oh my God.
Yeah, I think once you have somebody that you connect with in on a certain level of your own geekdom, it's very easy to just carry on a conversation that could last for hours, like you said. I
I
actually
know, right?
I
Yeah.
actually remember the first time I saw your booth was also at Publica, and that also piqued my interest.
Seriously? You were
Yes,
there?
yeah. I don't
I
know if
didn't
it was
see
the
you.
first
What the
time.
heck?
I don't think you were there. That's the thing.
Oh, okay, 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 okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So
okay.
I remember seeing this little booth, and I'm like, having a geek store in Malaysia in itself is very rare. So seeing your thing, I was like, oh my God, I had to find out more about this, which is when
Right,
I found your Instagram, and then it
right,
just spiraled from there.
right, right.
And then now you've correct me if I'm wrong, you still have a little sort of booth at Jaya One, right?
That's actually yeah. It was initially there, but then unfortunately, due to COVID-19 pandemic, we had to move out. Yeah, because apparently it was supposed to be in Pop Jaya One, right? And Pop Jaya One actually changed their business model. So they actually encourage people to sort of like use their stores as like a storeroom, like a warehouse instead.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and then they would focus on e-commerce instead.
Mm.
So initially, when they were actually offering me that particular um, um, what is that business opportunity, I was like thinking, oh okay, but where are you actually going to market the stuff? Where how are you actually going to sell the stuff and everything? So they were saying that they were actually going to use their own platforms and everything like that. But initially, they didn't exactly have a lot of how do you say a lot of stuff to present in the sense that they didn't have a website to present to you or anything like that. So I felt like, oh, okay, you know what? I think I would have to actually retract myself and start off with another platform instead. Yeah,
Understood. Okay,
yeah,
now that brings us into a good segue. I mean, right now it's undeniable we're facing a very huge pandemic. In case you've been living under a rock for the last year, how has that affected your business and how you run the business of the shop?
right. So to be honest with you, I prefer that personal interaction with customers,
Hmm.
right? I prefer being there at the booth and geeking out with people,
Yeah,
right, and establishing that sort of relationship, and sort of like if you're looking for something, then we'll basically just recommend that particular thing for you. But it's kind of weird for me. I don't really focus on profit. I don't really focus on making money in the sense that because our mission and our goal of our particular brand is basically to just spread geek culture. Because the thing is like being bullied as I was younger and stuff. It was so, how do you say, traumatic, and I believe that there are people out there who would actually share the same experience as I did. So the thing is like there was like a few customers who actually came to the booth, right? And then they are parents, right? And then they would say that, hey, yeah, my kid right here loves your stuff and everything. Yeah, he was also bullied before and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my god, what? You know. So I would tell the I would actually interact with the kid, and then I would say that, hey, dude, you know, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be just fine because geeks rule the world, right?
That, that is incredibly sweet of you, and I completely get it. I mean, like, I came from a very bullied childhood as well, and I think that's. I
Man,
mean, correct me if I'm wrong. To all the geeks out there, did we all not come from some sort of bullying when we were younger? And that's when we latched on to whatever fandom we found at the time when we were
right,
younger.
right,
Yeah.
dude. Oh man, we came from like a time when geekiness and nerdiness was not cool.
Yeah.
And you can actually see like times have changed because of the MCU and whatever that is actually on in the cinemas and all that kind of stuff. But we came from a time when all these things weren't cool, and it was we were basically like suffering, but we still sort of like hung on to it in the sense that because it is our escape,
Yeah.
right?
We were
Yeah.
always bullied for having these sort of like, oh, you like Star Wars? What are you, a geek? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I am.
You're so not cool. Oh my god, what is that?
Yeah.
What?
And then as you grow, as times have changed, it's now, like you said, it has become cool to be a geek. Like, it's something to be admired in that sense. At least I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, at least I think so too. But it's kind of weird that unfortunately there are also people who you would meet and then they would think like Star Wars isn't that like a kids thing? And I was like,
Come, let me educate you. Do you have a couple of days? So, okay, coming back to like when we first started getting in more personal detail, what was the first fandom that you really latched your
oh
hooks
dude,
onto?
oh dude. My first fandom was I was more, to be honest with you, I was more of a gamer and I was more into anime. That was my first anyway. So the first ones was obviously Dragon Ball. You can actually see like my cover to the left right here. You can actually see the Malay versions of Dragon Ball and all that kind of stuff over there.
Wow.
Mutiara Naga, the
Wow.
Street Naga, all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Pakar, Judo, Slam Dunk, all those kind of comics.
Wow.
And at that particular time, the comic books were like what, 3 ringgit 50 cents, dude.
Hmm.
3 ringgit 50 cents. I remembered specifically because I would go to like the shop nearby and wait for the next issue to actually come out. Like, oh my god, 3 ringgit 50 cents, hell yeah! And then it went up to 3.90, and then 4 ringgit 30 cents, etc., etc. And then after that, I stopped from there. Yeah. So the gaming, I was into a lot of. My first game was obviously like Super Mario. I sucked at it, so I didn't really, I wasn't exactly a fan because I suck at platform games. Yeah. But I really loved Final Fantasy. I really love Final Fantasy. My first was 8.
Okay.
Don't judge me.
Yeah, I'm
7
like,
is probably like the best.
yeah, that's why I'm like, a lot of people started with 7. I'm like, you started
No, people
with
started.
8.
I started late a little bit, so I started with 8, and
Hmm.
that was like what, Squall, Renoa, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then started gaming and stuff. To be honest with you, Star Wars was actually quite. Um, it was like when I was 20-ish, which is a little bit late, right? And here's something to share with you because my best friend, she's like a Star Wars geek, and then she would actually stab me every time I say this, right? So because yeah, you're gonna stab me too. I know this, and
I'm
it's actually
waiting.
like a lot of controversy.
I'm waiting.
So when I was watching Star Wars, right, I started off with 1, 2, 3 instead of 4, 5, 6.
Okay. Okay.
So I told her after watching 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I told her it's like I think I preferred 1, 2, 3.
Okay, actually, okay, I'm not going to stab you, but surprisingly, I'm actually holding a knife with a blade. I'm not going to stab you because recently we actually had a conversation with this other podcast, The Magic Rain, about Star Wars. And
Yeah.
they actually also, one of them started off with 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And they said, actually, we felt that one was better. And I think I understand why. Because that would be your first trilogy.
Okay.
And like when we started with 4, 5, and
Four,
6,
five,
and
six.
we will defend that to the death. That 4, 5, and 6 is the best. But there was also another one of them who said that they started with 7, 8, 9, and they found that that one was the best one for them. So I think
Mm.
well, we can all debate about
Oh yeah,
9.
yeah.
7,
It's gonna
8
be
still
just
okay,
like
but 9, yeah.
several hours.
Uh, but I think that's where it stems from. That was your first trilogy, so that's
Right.
undoubtedly going to be the better one in your mind because it's more sentimental. That was the one that started you off with Star Wars.
I guess so. Yeah.
So I'm not going to judge you on that. I would have last time, but my eyes have been open, so no judgment here. So okay, coming back to Geek in the Closet, how do you curate what you're going to bring in?
Well, the thing is like I have my suppliers, and my suppliers and I are actually constantly connected. So what they would actually do is like whatever stuff that are new, right? They would actually send me pictures and stuff. It's like, hey, would you be interested in this thing? Would you be interested in that thing? Right? To be honest with you, it's like I would have no clue what is actually going to come out. Right? What are actually new and stuff like that? I have no clue. So a lot of the stuff that I actually choose are actually based on my feelings, in a sense that because I'm a little bit, how do you say, very particular in like whatever that I choose, right? So when I see certain things, it's like, oh man, this thing is like a little bit off, a little bit off. Like, for an example, if you were to maybe get like a plush toy, right? And if it's like a Pikachu plush toy, I'm very, very particular with how that particular Pikachu would actually look like. Yeah, because if it was like a little bit off, like the eyeballs or something like this, it's a little bit off. It's like no, I won't actually take it, right? So yeah, stuff like that. Yeah,
Okay.
mm,
Now, slowly wrapping things up because
yeah.
I'm not gonna put like a whole full hour video on YouTube. What are your plans for the future of Geek in the Closet?
Um, uh, to be honest with you, we are actually going to focus a lot on uh, uh, doing good in a sense that we're actually going to be focusing on a lot of CSR stuff. However that we can actually contribute, we would actually contribute. Previously we've actually contributed to WAO, Women's Aid Organization, right, to stop to support their cause for stopping violence against women. We were actually supporting the Harimau Malaysia. There was this thing that the students in Taylor's University was actually doing in order to collect donations and donate it to a foundation that protects tigers and stuff like that. So we've actually done like a lot of this, and but unfortunately during this particular time we've actually been a little bit quiet when it comes to doing all these things because of obviously the COVID-19. Our revenue is actually being affected negatively in that sense. So we were actually trying to sort of like focus a little bit more on that, and then um, yeah, yeah, that's actually going to be our future plans. And also if let's say the COVID-19 pandemic is actually going to be quietened down and stuff like that, I believe that we'll actually be focusing a lot on bazaars once again because that's what that's where it's at, right? That's where meeting geeks are at and stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah,
Would Would you actually prefer having your own physical store or just keep doing bazaars and go from
that's a good
one bazaar to
question.
another?
Now, initially, like a lot of people were actually asking, it's like, hey, why not you actually open a physical store and stuff, right? So, but we were thinking that, oh man, we were actually looking around, right? And the physical stores are expensive, the rental and everything like that. It was too much. And the thing is like if we were to open like a physical store, we won't be able to offer our products at this particular price. And we feel that the thing is like it doesn't really correlate with our mission, which is basically to spread geek culture, right? So in a sense that if let's say we are able to how do you say offer our geeky merchandise at a lower price, it basically links back to what our mission really is, in a sense that people would actually be able to afford our stuff a little bit better. Mm.
Okay. Now, to close it all up, what advice would you give to somebody who also wanted to start up their own business as well?
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's a bit of a loaded question, but yeah.
I think I think what is actually the most important one is to try to conduct your research beforehand, right? Try to understand your target market. Try to understand like what actually will work, what actually won't work, and try to actually be a little bit more brave in taking that risk in um, starting that particular business in the first place, right? Because a lot of times right now, currently I'm actually a full-time lecturer, right? So I'm actually teaching the students a little bit about this as well. Because a lot of them, they're actually very fearful. It's like, oh, but I don't know where to start. I don't know where to actually begin, etc., etc. But all you need to do is look into researching. Like you gotta research on things like product photography. You're talking about like how do you actually create a website, how to actually do designing and all that kind of stuff as well. All of these information are actually all over YouTube, and you're actually going to get like all of this information very very easily as well. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So thank you so much, Dean, for spending your time with us.
No worries,
Us
man.
with me. I'm so used to having the other two with me that I'm like, it's so weird to do things on my own for the time being. But thanks so
If
much
the
for
other
spending your
two
time.
are actually going to be around, I'm pretty sure this video is going to be like 5 hours long.
Yeah. We'll spend all day talking.
Like, oh
But
my god, what?
thanks.
Lord of the Rings? Oh my god, what?
Oh, don't get us started on that. But thanks so much for being here. Where can people find the shop and support you guys?
Yeah, you can actually give us a follow on Instagram, which is Elias Geek in the Closet Store, both on Facebook as well as Instagram. We have a website as well, which is www.geekintheclosetstore.com. But best if, let's say, if you want like a smoother transaction, as we have actually experienced, Shopee is actually a very, very good platform to be looking at our stuff. So shopee.com.my/geek in the closet. Yeah, that's it.
You heard it all here. Give them some love, and thanks so much again, Dean.
No worries, man. It's a pleasure.
And thank you for sticking around and watching the very first episode of Geek to Geek. I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you like more content like this, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/geeks in Malaysia, which you, of course, are watching right now. If you'd like us to talk to us, it's so weird to do this without the other two. If you'd like me to talk to anybody else, do let us know in the comments below. Or if you can go to our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter at Geeks in Malaysia. All our socials are there. If you'd like to give us some love, of course, we've got a Ko-fi account, ko-fi.com/Geeks in Malaysia. Give us some love because we always appreciate the love. And until next time, my name is Nick Dorian. Keep geeking out, yo.